what I might do, I might go state by state and just go through some of the severe weather. Start in Queensland then. The sort of severe weather that they get in Queensland, you've got tropical cyclones, you've got severe thunderstorms, you've got floods, fires, and you've also got heat waves. So starting with tropical cyclones, they're of course dangerous. They produce destructive winds, heavy rainfall with flooding, and they also produce damaging storm surges. So that's when you get inundation of low-lying coastal areas. Now, in Queensland, there's an average of around 5 tropical cyclones per year in Queensland waters, but generally there's only around 1 or 2 that actually cross the coast. Now, this year we're actually in an El Nino situation in the Pacific Ocean. Basically what that means for us is the sea surface temperatures are below average off the Queensland coast, and that generally leads to a below average number of tropical cyclones. Now, you also get flood events in eastern Queensland, not from thunderstorms or cyclones, but just when you have heavy rain coming in from moist onshore winds. The peak for flood events is January to March. But rainfall and flooding should not be as extensive as in the past 2 seasons this year, and that's also due to El Nino. So generally, El Ninos bring hotter and drier conditions to eastern Australia. Now, the bushfire season for Queensland goes from spring to early summer, and there's an increased chance of bushfires this year as well, also due to El Nino. Rainfall has been below average in Queensland for the past 6 months, so there's plenty of dry fuel to burn. I'm going to move to New South Wales. Now, New South Wales doesn't get tropical cyclones. Well, it's very rare anyway, but they do get severe thunderstorms, heat waves, bushfires, and floods. Thunderstorms, just like in Queensland, can cause tornadoes, damaging winds, flash flooding, large hail. The northeast corner of New South Wales is the most prone area. They get about 30 thunderstorms, and most of them are between October and March. So we're sort of heading towards the peak of the season now. Heat waves in New South Wales are common from December to March, but they've started early this year, as anyone in western New South Wales would know. There's been heat wave conditions for the past 2 weeks. We get bushfires through spring and summer. During El Nino years, which is what we're in now, there's an increase in the chance of bushfires because it is drier than normal. And we also get floods mainly in central and northern parts of the state. Moving to Victoria, they get heat waves, bushfires. They get severe thunderstorms, but they're nowhere near as common as in New South Wales or Queensland. There just isn't enough moisture available the further south you get. They get heat waves from December to March, but again, this year they've started early. They've had heat wave conditions for the last 11 days. As I said, thunderstorms aren't as common, but there can be severe storms, and damaging winds are the main threat there. Large hail is fairly uncommon in Victoria, and flash flooding can happen, but it's not as common as damaging winds. Now, the bushfire season typically runs from summer through to autumn, but it started early this year. They've already had some bushfires in Victoria. And once again, El Nino is probably to blame for that. It has been very dry in Victoria for the past 6 months or so. Now, in South Australia, they get heat waves and bushfires, occasionally severe thunderstorms. Heat waves from December to March normally, but they've started early this year again. Adelaide's in its 11th day of a heat wave today, and that's going to continue until Friday for Adelaide. Bushfires through summer and autumn, but they've also started early this year. Western Australia gets tropical cyclones, heat waves, severe thunderstorms, and bushfires. Tropical cyclones in Western Australia aren't affected by the El Nino situation in the Pacific quite as much, simply because it's the coastline is on the Indian Ocean rather than the Pacific. But the forecast for this season is for it to be an average or a below average season, even in Western Australia. But it is the north coast of Western Australia, between Broome and Exmouth. It is the most cyclone-prone region of the entire Australian coastline, has the highest frequency of coastal crossings, and on average they get about 2 cyclones crossing the coast there per year, one of which is a severe cyclone. And a severe cyclone is one that produces wind gusts of more than about 180 kilometres per hour. They get numerous heat waves in Western Australia between about December and April. Perth is very hot through from about December to April. They average over 30 degrees each in that period. Severe thunderstorms are common for inland parts. Perth does not get very many severe thunderstorms. Generally, thunderstorms develop along a trough of low pressure that sits through inland WA right through the warmer months. So Perth, to the west of that trough, doesn't get too many. And they also get bushfires through summer and autumn.